You don't drink the gold juice. So I was offered the gold juice 3 times in my 20s, my 30s, and
What's
my
that?
40s.
Pee? A lot of golden showers in
The
Burbank.
gold juice that I will live forever and I'll have whatever I want. The gold juice. You never offered the gold juice?
No, I'm a scumbag comic. What's the gold juice?
I don't know, but I didn't drink it and I didn't want it. And
Is this in
I
a...
noticed when all the girls, certain girls on Orange changed. Yeah, it's a real thing. It's like a real thing. Like, it's all a real thing. And it's scary because they send like people after you and they can like kind of moonlight as like a friend or, you know, and they're wolf in sheep's clothing. And listen, you can have everything you want, all the fame in the world, all the money. I'm like, what if I just drank it? But then you know what I mean? Like, what if and I don't know what it is. If it's a metaphor for the gold juice, like, you feel what I'm saying?
Mostly.
And
if there's a tincture that makes you younger, I better know where. You better let me in on this. If adrenochrome's real, I'll be first in line.
Hello, Danny, and hello to anyone watching. It's been a long time.
You really have no type of empathy for what you put me through.
Empathy for what? I raised you up. I gave you everything that I didn't have. I mean, why don't you get over that, huh?
Do you know how much therapy I've had to have?
Therapy.
The torture, you literally kept me in the basement.
So what? My basement is nice. It's got everything you could want.
Okay, well, my basement was fucking terrible. You literally took me from my parents. You fed me fucking disgusting cakes out of human flesh.
Your parents never would have given you the love that I gave you.
You think people actually want to buy your shit after you literally cut up fucking flesh and bones and eyeballs and brains? Like, who the fuck wants to eat shit like that?
Well, you never know.
You never know.
You never know.
So prison really was not any type of difference for you. When I came on the trial and told my story about how I was kidnapped and how I attacked you and you claimed that I tried to kill you, it was
You did try to kill me with a knife.
It was self-defense.
Huh.
You were never going to let me go.
No, this is not just a virus, but one discovered that cannot die, super strong, and has just been released to the public. Scientists named Anatoly Brochkov discovered and revived a virus that has lived 3.5 million years and is still thriving and multiplying. Known as Bacillus F, Anatoly Brochkov had injected the virus in mice, flies, and other animals, and what he found was terrifying. When injected in these animals, they would live either 2 or 3 times longer and were much stronger. Many were terrified what the government could possibly do with this type of virus and if this was going to be used for military battle, with scientists saying this virus could be used not only to extend human life, but sustain it forever. Anatoly, upon his research, injected himself with the virus, for funsies. Upon injecting it in himself, he says that he has not had as much as a cold in the last decade.
After I took it, I never had the flu for 2 years, at least for 2 years. So any cold, any type of the cold.
And then many others theorize this virus could be the cure for many different modern diseases. Would you get this?
Oh, 2 nights ago, I went to Subway. I ordered a sub. Kind of weird interaction. Go into the parking lot to eat it, and I noticed that I'm like, oh, the parking lot just smells like sewage. I'm like, okay, so I had a bite and I took it home to eat it there. I go and take a bite and I smell the exact same shit. Look in the papers in between the 2 wrappers on the sandwich is literal shit. There's feces. We're not sure if it's dog or if it's human. Right now it's like the police took a swab of it and whatnot, and public health is working on it and trying to figure it out. I messaged Subway the night it happened, put an online complaint in, hoping someone would reach out. I called corporate 5 times the next day, and all they told me is that I had to wait for someone to respond to my online complaint about there being literal shit on my food. And they haven't responded yet at all. I've heard absolutely nothing from them. I posted 2 videos about it. The first one got some views. The second one, after 2 hours of it being up, still had 0. I think now it's at 5 views maybe or so. So I have no idea what to do. I have an appointment Monday to try to find a lawyer or someone to talk to, because I ate it. I ate a bite of it. The second bite, I spit that one out, but I don't know what to do. I haven't been able to eat really since then. I've been so incredibly nauseous just from the thought of food. I don't know what to do. So if anyone does, could you like please help? Either like help me contact Subway, like help them see it, reach out to me, something. I don't know. I haven't even gotten a refund for that meal, so anything would be great.
You could actually power the entire United States with 100 miles by 100 miles of solar.
Really?
Yes.
So you can just pick some dead spot that you fly
Of which there
over,
are plenty.
cover that sucker up with
Correct.
solar panels, and charge the whole country
Absolutely.
24/7.
You need batteries, but yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, it's not hard. I mean, meaning it's very feasible. In fact, I mean, the sun is converting over 4 million tons of mass to energy every second, and it's no maintenance. That thing just works. We have a giant fusion reactor in the sky. That is the sun.
The Statue of Liberty seems to be getting weirder and weirder. People have found that there seems to be something huge lurking under its pedestal. The media, with curiosity, finally found a message from the statue's designer in 1889. But when faced with the initial interview by reporters, the designer said he knew nothing and that he had only modified it according to the request of the then U.S. president and had been modifying it for 4 years before finally completing it. The designer did not understand why the U.S. government wanted to constantly enlarge the base, because it seemed meaningless in terms of aesthetics and solidity. But not until 1949, with the exposure of a confidential document, did the whole thing. The truth began to slowly emerge. A strange code name under a confusing text, vaguely written to provide an entrance for nutrients, install an engine, and achieve the final departure. Then there was a leaked design of the interior of the statue, and from it, people found some terrifying things. First, a huge engine was installed at the bottom of the base, then the statue's feet were inexplicably fitted with a row of strange pulleys, followed by a narrow entrance and a huge staircase that did not fit in. However, in the middle of this huge room was a strange drain, and finally on the left side of the engine was a huge waste storage room. Time came to the summer of 1954, when thousands of people complained to the government that Ellis Island was emitting a nauseating stench, and one woman named Eleanor's remarks were even more exaggerated, saying that Ellis Island was terrible. The whole place was filled with a slaughterhouse-like smell. Dead animal carcasses were everywhere. Once, she even saw officials lining up to take a group of people into the statue at night. Then they would lock the door and leave, and the next morning it was as if nothing had happened, except that the smell was more obvious. In August 1985, people first photographed the statue undergoing strange changes. The statue began to slowly move to the right, and something strange seemed to appear in the base. Finally, after an investigation by the local government, they claimed that there was once a mass grave there, and said that if you disappeared on the island between 1949 and 1954, you will receive a government compensation.
This photo was taken at a boxing event a couple of years ago by the mother of my friend who's fighting, and she posted a couple of pictures of the night on Facebook, to which everyone kept asking who the girl is in the ring. I was at the event and never recall seeing her, and neither could anyone else. So we looked into this a bit more, and we found out that years before the venue used to be a children's home and got burnt down. And my mate seems to think that they look like burn marks on her arm. What do y'all think? Everyone thought yes.
Oh no, that's not right.
That's not right.
Oh.
That's not right. For all the people that are like, that's just a girl in the ring, no one can remember seeing her. Remember
And that is a person that you would remember.
You would remember seeing a skulking, creepy girl walking around the ring.
But picture it like a gas tank meter. When you are a fresh entity, you're on full. And when you start to do things, like you become full-bodied apparitions, you interact, you move things, whatever, what have you, and they're expending energy, that gas tank ticks down. But a lot of times, the freshest entities are the most solid in that way. So this, at least for me, this feels like an entity that died very recently.
I'm beginning to think it's not human.
Really?
And I think it is imitating someone who died from fire. And again, wild conjecture. There's no sensationalization there.
Exactly.
The face, the eyes look a little too large and dark.
And the mouth is
The
like
mouth
non-existent.
is hardly existent. And we talk about this a lot. When entities parade as humans, they don't always get it right. There's certain aspects of it that just aren't completely right. Like the hair is not quite right.
If you were offered a salary of $1 million to guard a lighthouse, would you dare to take the job? At this workplace, hardly anyone checks on you. You can sleep as long as you want. When you wake up, all you do is eat, drink, enjoy the scenery, or maybe go fishing. Your only responsibility is to ensure that the lighthouse's light and communication equipment are functioning properly. Despite such generous benefits, almost no one dares to apply. This is one of the most dangerous jobs in the world, guarding the Juman Lighthouse. It's located on the coast of Brittany, France. Here, no one talks to you. All you have is loneliness. That's just the mental aspect. What's even more challenging is the frequent, powerful storms in this region. Waves crashing against the lighthouse can reach tens of meters in height. A slight oversight could result in the destruction of the lighthouse and loss of life. The picture in front of you was taken during a rescue operation at the Juman Lighthouse years ago. When we zoom in on the photo, we can see that the lighthouse keeper and the entire lighthouse are almost entirely engulfed by the waves. Had he stepped out a bit further, he might have been swept away. This lighthouse keeper, Magna, still shudders at the memory. So, after hearing the whole story, would you still dare to take the job for $1 million?
There's a store in Mexico that is said to be haunted. In fact, it is thought to be so haunted that the store owner doesn't feel safe being inside. Now, some people don't believe the store owner. Customers believe that it's all in his head, as they haven't seen anything strange for themselves when shopping there. Because of this, the owner conducts an experiment to prove that he's not crazy. He pours a bag of flour over a certain section of the store where most activity occurs. He then leaves the camera overnight to record anything unusual, but what he captures has left him shook. This is what he caught. Midway through the footage, we can hear a mysterious clacking sound and then a sudden crash noise as though someone had run into a shelf. But, most unsettling of all, footprints appear in the flour. As you might expect, the store owner is spooked. Could this be the supposed entity that haunts the store? Or could it be something else? And by that, I mean, could this be genuine footage that wasn't tampered with? Or was it all a stunt that was pulled off using special effects? The store owner seems legitimately scared, but I'll let you decide for yourself. Rewatch the clip and see what you think.
So today we're going to show you how we clean up an unintended death scene. So this is the before. All that has to go. So we'll show you how we do it. So what they're doing is taking out the affected parts of the mattress right now, because you cannot just throw these in a dumpster. So we have to basically pour out the affected material. All right, so the mattress is removed. We got to clean the floor up a little bit, clean the framing, and then we'll be done. Now we have Jack spraying Odorcide. It helps take the smell out, as well as a hydroxyl over here, which basically is going to eliminate the odor that was originally in this room.
Here's what some of the most famous monsters actually are. The Chupacabra. The goat-griefing livestock leech believed to be first seen in Puerto Rico was more than likely a dog with a severe case of mange, and that's when mites burrow into the skin and basically cause parasitic alopecia. Bigfoot, different animals, same beast, or whatever it was, Kobe said. Anyway, it was probably a mangy bear. Exhibit A, Exhibit B, Exhibit C. What the hell mange does? Coke Bear done graduated to meth. And I don't mean numbers, the Loch Ness Monster. There have been many theories, but what's most likely was probably just an escaped circus elephant with trunks out like Dragon Ball. For centuries, there have been stories of killer Cyclops, a one-eyed op to humanity. Whole time, someone probably just found an expired elephant skull in an Olympic long jump to a conclusion. And last, almost every sea monster story you've ever heard was probably just some whale freeing his willy. That's exactly what you think it is, the more you know.
The Mandela effect might be proof of an alternative timeline right here on Earth. Or maybe it just proves that human beings are really, really bad at remembering details. But if that's the case, how is it possible that when our collective memory is wrong, we all remember the incorrect thing the same way? The following Mandela effects are so widely experienced that it's caused a lot of people to point them out as proof and residue of an older timeline that we all collectively experienced but no longer exists. Because do you remember the Berenstain Bears? They actually didn't exist. They're the Berenstain Bears. And I was super into these books as a kid. There was also a show, and I watched like all of the episodes, and maybe it's just me, but I never remember it being a family of 5. There's a baby bear in this series, and I never once saw a baby bear until I was an adult. Then there's the Pokemon Onix, which is spelled O-N-Y-X, except it's not, because if you pull out your cards, actually, let me get mine. Where did I put my cards? Let's take a blast to the past into the 90s. Onix is spelled O-N-I-X. And this stuff just goes on and on. C-3PO actually wasn't all gold. He had a silver leg. The Flintstones is actually spelled and pronounced the Flintstones. Sandy Cheeks from SpongeBob never wore a backpack, but I always remember that because it makes sense. How does she breathe underwater without an oxygen pack on her back? But if your mind's not blown yet, the Monopoly Man on the Monopoly game, picture him for a minute in your mind. He does not have a monocle. Tostino's Pizza doesn't exist. It's actually Totino's Pizza. And even the Forrest Gump quote, which we all remember as life is like a box of chocolates, but it's actually,
my mom always said life was like a box of chocolates.
and one of the biggest mind to me is this quote from Silence of the Lambs. When Hannibal Lecter first meets Clarice Starling, we all remember what the line is. Hello, Clarice. But if you go and watch that movie now, he just says this.
Good morning.
Here's the thing, science claims that it has an explanation for all of this. In fact, there's a dude named Dr. John Paul Garrison, who's a forensic psychologist out of Atlanta, Georgia in the United States. And he's spent years researching the Mandela effect and this phenomenon. And according to him, he thinks the Mandela effect is just created and perpetuated when an article or piece of media, like the one that you're watching right now, is shared in a big way. I tell you that I remember the Pokemon Onix being spelled O-N-I-X, and it actually always was, and your brain tricks you into thinking like, yeah, it was spelled O-N-I-X, even though it wasn't, and then we all have that collective memory and mismatch of memories in our minds. But if that's true, why do so many of us remember the same thing? Because if I told you right now that Big Bird has always been yellow, he's never been orange like the way that you remember him as a child, it'd be really easy for you to be like, wait, hold up. Big Bird was never orange. I never remember that. Because it's just not true for any of us. But somehow we all collectively remember Looney Tunes being spelled T-O-O-N-S, not Looney Tunes. And tunes, as it's actually spelled, doesn't even make sense. I mean, these aren't even musicals. They're slapstick cartoons. And then there's Pikachu's tail, which in the 90s definitely had black markings on it. But it turns out it never did. But this all gets even weirder, because you could say to yourself, well, maybe I am just remembering things wrong, like I did when I was researching this video. But then I want you to picture the Fruit of the Loom logo in your mind. This is the logo that we all remember. But according to the internet and research, if you dive deep, the cornucopia on this logo never existed. But people remember it with the cornucopia. I do. But if the cornucopia never existed, which apparently it didn't, where did this image come from? And the answer is, well, somebody photoshopped it, they created it, and that makes sense logically. But what doesn't make sense is how did they Photoshop and illustrate this cornucopia looking exactly like we remember it? It's not some random cornucopia thrown on there where we're all like, yeah, that doesn't look quite right. I mean, this is the one that I grew up seeing on the tag of all my Fruit of the Loom clothing. This is how it looked, right here. Now, as a final thought experiment and exercise, I want you to picture in your mind Uncle Sam. You know, the Uncle Sam on all of the United States propaganda posters urging Americans to go to war. Tell me how his hat looks. What did his hat look like? It's got red and white stripes on it with a little blue thing going around the base of it with stars, right? An American flag. Wrong. His hat had no stripes. Finally, I want you to picture Mickey Mouse, the original Mickey Mouse from like the 1940s, 50s, and 60s. What color were his suspenders? Picture that in your mind. Trick question, because he wore no suspenders. Now, some people believe that our timeline shifted when the Hadron Collider first fired up. Others believe it all ended with the death of Harambe. God rest that poor monkey's soul. But whatever you believe, this is one of those things that science can't really definitively explain, at least not to me. And admittedly, maybe it's because I'm too dumb to understand the science. Or maybe it's because I just know I remember all of these things differently in the same exact way that you do. So I say, it can't be explained by science. Fight me in the comments on this.
Holy fuck, I thought I was tripping balls. What the fuck? I just saw one.